We should be live. All right, we are live. Everything's up and running. Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees. You should be familiar. I just rubbed my chair thing on the desk and it made a weird noise, but you should be familiar with my voice and my face on this Fireside Yankees post-game show. But Dylan has been grateful. I'm grateful that Dylan has been, able to join us tonight. Him and I run the Fireside Knicks podcast. He's also featured on the Fireside Yankees podcast. So if you guys see him in just a couple episodes, you should be familiar with him. But we're really excited to talk about this game, the Yankees and the Reds, of course. Look, the Reds aren't a great team. I understand that. This isn't a team that I'm necessarily looking at as, world beaters, but the Yankees pull off a win and they score a lot of runs, which I think is the big thing here. They had another game where they scored a lot of runs. I think you could agree with me here in the sense that, the Yankees haven't done that a lot in the to start the year, and then now as of late, seeing them score the way that they're scoring, seeing them be reliable with runners in scoring position in big spots. I mean, you can credit all of it basically to Aaron Judge. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about, Dylan. So I just wanted to get your initial thoughts. How are you doing today, and how do you feel after that win?
Right. I'm doing good first off. It was a good Yankees win. I mean, the first couple innings we were kind of worried because, they went down 4-1. It wasn't looking great. Johnny Brito was honestly not very good. I mean, he was kind of the one downside to today's game, so I'll just start with that first. 4 innings, 4 hits, 4 earned runs, 4 walks, a lot of fours, and 6 strikeouts and a home run he gave up to Luke Maile. That wasn't a very good start. Didn't have great command. I mean, it wasn't a good start. I mean, I can't say I expected a great start out of Brito. You kind of wished he would have had a good start, given that this is a Reds team he was facing that's not very good. But, unfortunately, he didn't have a fantastic start. But the bullpen picked up the slack. The bullpen pitched 6 innings and only combined gave up 1 hit. And Michael King was the one who gave up the hit, which was, I think, a double to Jonathan India in the 7th inning. The rest of the guys did really well. Marinaccio had some funky command, but then he kind of figured it out and got a couple strikeouts. Clay Holmes has been, he's been, solid a lot more lately. He started to figure it out. I saw a thing. He's in his last like 6 appearances or so, he's got 8 innings and he hasn't allowed a run. So that's very encouraging. And obviously, I'm going to get to the big stuff for today. Aaron Judge, 4 for 4. He's probably the hottest hitter in the American League right now, if not in all of baseball. Him and Ronald Acuna Jr. have been like the two main guys that have been doing everything right now so far this season offensively. But, Judge, 4 for 4. 3 RBIs. His average is up to 299. OPS up to 1.042. That is just insane. He's on a very similar pace than he was last year at this point in the season. So it's kind of like, oh my God, can he actually do what he did last year again? I mean, it's insane. Anthony Rizzo had a good game. He also drove in 3 runs. He had the big home run in the 10th inning, as we all know, that pretty much put the game away. He had another 2 hits. He's hitting 303 this season. He's continuing an all-star campaign, in my opinion. And not much else watched from the other guys other than, 2 hits from Ben Rortvet, who most of us probably didn't think existed until today. We saw him for the first time, and he had 2 hits, a sharp single and a sharp double, so that was impressive. IKF hit a home run, which is something I wasn't expecting today. So, I mean, a lot of good stuff all around. Obviously, like I said, the one downside was Johnny Brito wasn't very good, but everything else was pretty good and pretty much in order. And they were resilient today. They were down 4-1 in the 5th inning, and they fought back right away with 3 runs right then and there, and then 3 more in the 10th inning to end up winning the game. I mean, this team's been rolling. I think they're like 9-3 in their last 12 games, and in that 12-game stretch, they played 4 against the Rays and 4 against the Blue Jays. So it's not like they're just beating up bad teams. No, they're actually holding their own against decent opponents, which is very encouraging to see. Given that we are still missing Josh Donaldson, Giancarlo Stanton, guys like that, Carlos Rodon is still hurt, obviously. So we have Schmidt and Brito still pitching games. Domingo Herman has been pitching games. I know he's been all right, but now he just got suspended. So, just a lot of good things all around. Really encouraged with today's performance, and I'm hoping that they can just go for the sweep tomorrow with Sevy making his season debut. What are your takeaways on this game?
Yeah, my big takeaways are Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. And, as you mentioned, the bullpen kind of stepped up. They've had a rough stretch while the Yankees are winning where it's like you hold your breath every time someone comes in because it feels like, whoever they bring in is cold. But Marinaccio, a guy who had been struggling a lot, had a really strong outing. Michael King, of course, looked excellent. Clay Holmes, you mentioned. Ryan freaking Weber. Ryan Weber has saved this bullpen. I mean, I did not expect me to be saying that on, May 20th, but here we are. But definitely a really encouraging game. I think he hit a lot of the notes that are important with this game, which is Aaron Judge and Anthony Rizzo put this team on their back. 6 RBIs combined, 6 of the 7 runs attributed to them. Ben Rortvet exists, which, is a thing now. But I don't know if you saw that, like, you can't see me celebration he did. That was awesome. I love that. But with that being said, I think it's time for us to turn it to the comment section, turn it to the audience, see what they have to say. Trevor, how are you doing? Trevor's a frequent visitor of the streams and a good friend of mine. So good to see him
What's
in the
going on,
stream.
Trevor?
We got Bell Gaming who says hello, and then he's going to the game tomorrow. He also asks me to say waffles, so I'll say waffles. But yeah, no, hope. Hey, he's gonna get to see, as you mentioned, Luis Severino's season debut. And we actually talked about this. This is interesting. So when we recorded the Hicks DFA episode, we were in the middle of recording a Knicks episode that will be out tomorrow morning. And it happens mid-episode. We stopped recording to kind of just like, holy crap, he got DFA'd. And then we recorded a Fireside Yankees episode after. And I think you exactly said that Hicks's DFA is going to make this live stream more interesting because, well, I mean, who could have saw that coming today? I didn't see it coming today.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to happen eventually, but not today.
Yeah, like we said, in the video,
Yeah.
like, it's not necessarily that the move itself wasn't surprising. It's the fact that they actually went ahead and did it, and they weren't afraid to pull the trigger and kind of pull the plug on the experiment with Hicks continuing to get his at bats. I was reading Chris Kishner's article from the Athletic on the whole thing, and he had an interesting point. It seemed like they were kind of not really playing Hicks at home kind of on purpose just because of like that, the way the fans kind of felt about him. And, I understand he struggled and stuff like that, but, the guy is human. It's unfortunate that this situation just didn't pan out. It's unfortunate Hicks in the Bronx overall didn't work out, but at least he had a few productive seasons with us. People forget 2017 to 2020. He was a very productive player, very good fielder, a very good plus hitter with the bat. He had some power that we didn't know he would have had. I mean, who did we trade him for? Like John Ryan Murphy or something like that. I mean, it was basically another one of those Cashman steals, but then, it ended up just not working out after we signed him to the extension. Obviously, we all know Hicks was not very good this year, was not very good last year, hasn't been very good really since he got that surgery in 2021. It's unfortunate, but, I'm not going to rag on Hicks. I do hope he can find a home for good and, find a good place, to stay and a good team that'll actually want to, hold on to him. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna, bash on the guy. I know he's not exactly a fan favorite, but still, I'm not just gonna sit here and bash on him because at the end of the day, getting DFA'd, if you're an MLB player, getting DFA'd sucks. You don't want that, because then that means you're essentially needing to find a new home and stuff like that. It's a tough situation for them. I know not everyone wants to hear that, but it's just true. Those are my thoughts on it, though.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand what you're saying in the sense of like the Aaron Hicks tenure in New York because of from a trade standpoint was a success. Like I don't think you can argue against that. You trade a guy who's done nothing in his major league career for a guy who gave, I think, like 9.3 WAR at the Yankees. But it was really that contract extension that backfired. So hey, like I mean, I think because he got DFA'd and because it actually happened, there's this wave of like, man, we just saw a guy lose his job. Like that kind of sucks. You know what I mean? But in the same vein, it's a business. You have to make those type of decisions. And that's part of baseball, right? It's unfortunate, but when you don't play and you don't perform, it is what it is. And Greg Allen kind of, I'm not saying that Greg Allen like directly impacted the game that much. But he's a pinch running option they're comfortable with. And in that top of the 10th, you have no idea if something's going to happen where you're going to need Greg Allen to pinch run, and he's faster than Aaron Hicks. So, there are bang plays all the time. Even that tag up to third was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. If that was Aaron Hicks and he got thrown out, he's significantly slower. So, I'm not saying that, Hicks would have gotten thrown out there, but those are those bang plays with just a little bit more speed, a little bit better defense. Those type of things play a role. And when you're talking about a role player, we're talking about a guy coming off the bench. Those things are really important. So it's business. It is what it is. But with that being said, Tyler makes a really good point here. The Yankees, ever since really playing that Tampa series where they split two, they've been on fire. They've been playing great baseball. I didn't think that the split felt like a split. It felt more like a moral win. And I don't love moral victories. I don't love the concept of that when, a team is struggling. I feel like when you're struggling, you can't really walk away with a moral victory. You just kind of need wins. But I feel like that series was critical and pivotal because they were able to get the offense going. Some guys got red hot. What do you think is the biggest change the Yankees have made from that Tampa series that has allowed them to play this level of baseball?
Right. So something I've really noticed, this team's become more resilient since that series. I mean, they kind of showcased it in that series. I remember in the second game, they were down 5-4 after Josh Lowe, or I think it was Josh Lowe. He hit that 3-run home run, and after they had just taken the lead, so it kind of was like, oh, that's probably a game. This Yankees team hasn't really shown much of a fight for these first couple months or so. No, and then Anthony Rizzo hit that home run. They won the game 6-5, and then the next day was like that that crazy game or whatever where I think they won like 9-8 or something like that. And it was back and forth. They were down big, 6-0, came all the way back. That's just something I've noticed. They've been resilient. The first month or so, when they were down even by like 3 runs, you kind of just felt like, I don't think they're going to come back. They haven't really shown much. I don't think it's coincidence that since Judge came back, their resilience has gone back. They've started to, not be out of games like they were in the beginning of the season. Like the first like 7 losses of their season this year, pretty much like all of them came down to the last at bat. Like they had a chance in the last at bat and just didn't, pull through. Then they started to slump. They weren't really coming close. They were losing games pretty convincingly. You know, They've started to pick that resilience back up, though. And that's something I've noticed. I think you've probably noticed that as well, that they are not necessarily giving up. I mean, even today, down 4-1 to the Reds in the 5th inning. If this was like 3 weeks ago, you might have been like, oh, that's game. They haven't been coming back from even deficits like that. No, they came back not only right away, but then they held on. They didn't score much after that. But then in the 10th inning, they stuck around and then scored 3 more and ended up winning the game. It's a combination of better pitching, but also, resilient play and clutch hitting. They're hitting much better in situations where they need to drive in runs, and that's something that is important to winning baseball games. Given the circumstances right now, the Yankees are 28-20. I take that. I mean, they've been dealing with just a myriad of injuries, crazy amount of injuries. I mean, it's been unforeseen, really, and the fact that they're 8 games above 500 and not really even out of the division at this point. I mean, I applaud them. They're sticking around. They could be really something when they get fully healthy. And these couple games that I'm witnessing, I know it's against the Reds, and I know some of those games were against the A's as well. But even games like against Tampa and Toronto, that gives me a sign of hope that when they're healthy, they can really be a problem. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, it's the fact that they've been able to hit all types of pitching. It doesn't matter the quality. It doesn't matter the opponent. I know Alek Manoah hasn't had a great year, but he's killed the Yankees. He had a great start against the Yankees. I think it was a month ago, right? Or not too long ago, where in the middle of a terrible season, he comes out and he shoves against the Yankees. 7 scoreless innings. I know the Yankees ended up winning that game. Fun fact, Alek Manoah has not pitched in a game that the Yankees have lost in about 400 days. So I just wanted to remind people of that. But look, the Yankees needed to have a stretch like this, and people are going to say, it's the Reds, whatever, but good teams beat bad teams. And so if you're beating up bad teams routinely, I think that makes you a good team. But again, I understand that there isn't going to be that same, like, I obviously felt more impressed when they beat Toronto than I did when they beat the Reds. But as you mentioned, the resilience, the ability to come back, the ability to say, all right, we're down 4-1. All right, next inning, we're gonna get some back, right? That's just what they do, right? That's what this team does. And the resilience, yeah, I think that's actually a great point to make. It feels like they're no longer out of baseball games when they go down.
And I wanna
Okay,
add to that real fast too. With that resilience, I think it kind of started when Bader came back. Bader kind of brought this team some confidence, some energy. We all know Bader plays like his hair is on fire. So I really think that him coming back kind of kickstarted that a little bit. And I mean, right away in that Tampa series, hit some clutch home runs, some clutch hits, some big extra base hits. He's still doing that right now. I mean, he only had 1 hit today, but it's just simple things like that, just getting on base and impacting the game. And of course, his defense. We all know he's a Gold Glove defender, and you could probably say he's the best defensive center fielder in baseball right now. If not him, then there's only like 1 or 2 other guys maybe that could be in that conversation. But we all know Bader is one of the best at that, and we all know that he brings a lot of energy. So I really think once he came back, that's when they really started to kind of start to feel themselves a little bit again. And then once Judge came back, it was like, all right, we have our team. We need to start really picking things up. And I mean, they've done that, and I'm really impressed with that. That's pretty much all I had to add to that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you make great points again with Bader as well, because Bader's been really, I know, again, you mentioned today, like, wasn't a great day. Yeah. But overall, the getting Bader back on top of the fact that it meant less at bats for guys like Hicks, for guys like Calhoun, and IKF was struggling at the time. So taking it at bats away from IKF was a positive. Doing things like that only serves to help this team. So, when you get quality players to replace guys who aren't playing well back, it's a huge lift, and he's an excellent defensive center fielder. You see the defensive presence, the influence he has on games. It's truly incredible. But yeah, with that being said, Trevor mentions, Aaron Judge is amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think we're looking at just Aaron Judge.
We're running out of words to describe him. We're running out of words.
I'm going to present this to you, and I think this is going to blow you away. All right. So in comparison to his 2022 season, where he set the American League home run record and hit six, just had an unbelievable season. I'm going to have to double check after today what the hard hit rate looks like, because I know he generated a lot of hard contact today. I'm just going to pull up the exit velocities. Yeah. Okay. He's probably right around where it is right now.
Pretty much every at bat today was squared up.
Yeah.
I mean, he was locked in.
His xWOBA, exactly where it was last year. His expected weighted on base average, which is xWOBA on just contact, is higher than what it was last year. His harder hit rate is where it was last year. His exit velocity is better than where it was last year. His barrel rate is better than what it was last year. And his sweet spot percentage is better than it was last year. So in terms of quality of contact, they're always striking out more, right? And obviously that's probably why he's not hitting at the same rate he was before. You take away 6% of your contact, and that's going to happen. But he's made, this feels like just a change he's made to his game, where now he can just barrel the baseball with ease, right? And it's just what you expect from Aaron Judge. Do you think this makes him the best hitter in baseball? Because I think he is by far the best hitter in baseball. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I do think he's the best hitter in baseball, Obviously, statistically wise, right now, people might say he's not been the best hitter, and they may say it's like Ronald Acuna Jr., and that's perfectly okay. But, I mean, if you're looking at, overall from last year to this year combined, and given the fact that Judge missed 10 games and he's still doing this, yeah, he's the best hitter in baseball. I think right now, there is no hitter better than Aaron Judge. The only player that's even really better than him is Shohei Ohtani, and that's because he pitches and hits at an elite level. Judge doesn't pitch, so in terms of just best hitter, that's Aaron Judge. And I mean, just looking at what he does, I mean, he's insane. I mean, we're really running out of words to describe him, because at this rate, we may be witnessing one of the best primes, not really just out of any player ever, but, especially in Yankees history. I mean, this is just remarkable what he's been doing. And, me as a fan, a young fan who's only 20 years old, I'm really thankful that I'm getting to witness this, live in person. And I'm glad I've gotten to witness his career from his very first at bat, where he hit that home run to dead center against Tampa, to right now, where he's breaking records and constantly getting these hits and becoming, the MVP and then the captain and all this stuff. I mean, it's just amazing to watch. That's really all I got to say about him. I mean, there's not much else I could say other than just I'm amazed. I'm really amazed.
Yeah, no, I think at this point, it's just kind of like, holy crap, Aaron Judge is just that guy. This is the most talented baseball player I've ever gotten to watch play for my team in my lifetime. This might be the most talented athlete I've seen play for any of my teams in my lifetime, which is kind of weird to think about, because I'm I still can't wrap my head around just how damn good he is. But yeah, Sarah says hi. Hey, Sarah, hope you're having a good day.
That's my girlfriend.
No
Hi,
way.
Sarah.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's incredible, dude. Shout out Sarah. That's awesome. So when Josh Donaldson returns, how much leash should he get before we pull the plug on him? That's a really good question. So I don't know, because do you bench LeMahieu for him? Probably not. Do you bench Torres for him? Probably not. Do you bench Rizzo for him? Definitely not. You're not sitting Volpe. I don't think that's a question. The DH is Stanton. Your right center field positions are Judge and Bader. I guess left field's open, but Stanton is probably not going to play the outfield every day. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the answer to this is. I think they're going to give him some run, but how much run do you think he gets? I guess it depends on how soon he comes back.
I mean, he's making a lot of money, so the Yankees are going to find a way to try to get his bat in as much as they can, whether you like it or not. That's just realistic, because, I mean, you're not going to sit $36 million or whatever on the bench. I mean, that's just a literal waste. So you're going to try to get as much value out of him as you can, but, we all know he's not very productive, but, like you were saying, you have guys like Volpe, Cabrera, LeMahieu plays third, and the DH spot will be taken with Stanton, because, I mean, Stanton and Donaldson are essentially on the same track to return, so that's going to be kind of an awkward situation for Donaldson, really, when he comes back. So I'm kind of curious to see what they do about it. Obviously, I expect him to just be inserted back in for the short term, at least. The long term, I think it just depends on what he does when he comes back, and if he continues to struggle, then maybe we do see some changes. Maybe we see him get moved at the deadline. Maybe we see a DFA situation. Who knows? But something could happen. I don't know. I'm not the GM, so obviously I don't know the answer to this question. But, I would be intrigued to see what they're going to do about it, because they definitely have an interesting situation. And, it seems like this year that they've been more, willing to let the younger guys in. Having Volpe start at shortstop on opening day. Cabrera is still up here despite his struggles throughout the season. Peraza was up here for a bit. I know he's in AAA now, but he came up. Jake Bowers was called up. All these guys have been, getting their chance. And I think they're kind of willing to see what they have out of these guys and kind of move on from the guys that aren't really contributing a whole lot. I'm curious to see what they do about it going forward, but we shall see. That's really all I got to say. We shall see.
Yeah, I feel like the Yankees are kind of in a spot where, like, I think because of the nature of baseball, I think a role is going to be carved out for Donaldson for at least a stretch of time because baseball is unpredictable, and that's just kind of how it feels like this season goes, right? Like, just weird things happen all the time. So I think there's going to be a role carved out for him for at least a period of time, but I don't know what that role is going to look like. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Web Dog deserves respect. Yeah, Ryan Weber has been like surprisingly not just like good, but clutch. Like I feel like that. I know that obviously, it's hard to quantify that, but I feel like when Ryan Weber's been asked to do things that, quite frankly, I wouldn't feel comfortable with Ryan Weber doing, and he's excelled, like getting a save today or coming in with bases loaded and no one out and getting out of it with the lead still. He's just done things. I don't know how to put this. I mean,
yeah. He was impressive when he came up here last year too. So I mean, it's just good to see he's continuing to do that right now, despite his limited role, I guess, or kind of they're still trying to figure out where he belongs in this bullpen, if anywhere. And the real question is, will the Yankees keep him up here when everyone is healthy? I don't know if they would do that, but I mean, he's been pitching well, and he deserves his respect. He definitely does. I mean, he's been, like you said today, came in the 10th inning, got 3 outs, no issue, struck someone out as well. He got that save against Toronto, I'm pretty sure it was, or Tampa, one of them, and he, came in that bases loaded situation, got out of it. I mean, he's been doing good, and I'm really happy to see that because, I mean, quite frankly, our bullpen is shot right now, and we're missing a lot of guys, a lot of key pieces, so we need these kind of guys to step up, and it's really encouraging to see it right now. Obviously, Ian Hamilton's going to be out for a few weeks. Efros is out for the year. Trevino's out for the year. Luis Gil's still coming back. We have a lot of guys on the shelf right now. So, just looking at that, I mean, I'm happy to see Weber doing his thing. I'm happy for him. I'm happy to see him pitching well. I want it to continue, and, I expect it to. Right now, I can depend on Ryan Weber to actually get the job done. There are certain guys they come in the game and you wonder if they could get the job done, such as like Albert Abreu. You wonder what they're going to do. You don't know what you're going to get. Ryan Weber, I'm starting to feel more confident though that he can give me a good inning. Not saying he's going to be perfect every time. I can't expect that, but just a solid inning. And I mean, he's doing his thing, so I respect that.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the bullpen's been asked to just piece it together and just kind of like, at this point, like for Aaron Boone, it's not like Aaron Boone's bringing in bad pitchers or guys you can't rely on purpose. I mean, there is literally not a lot. Like, who do you want to go to when Wandy Peralta, Clay Holmes, and Michael King and Ron Marinaccio are all like not available or taxed, right? You have to go to the depths of your bullpen, right? And right now it looks like Albert Abreu, Jimmy Cordero, Ryan Weber, and Nick Ramirez. And when those are your 4 guys, you're gonna have to ask someone to do something that they have not done at the major league level before, or you're not comfortable with them doing. And Ryan Weber stood out as the guy who's done that at the highest rate. Not going to disrespect Jimmy Cordero, of course, but I feel like his role is just a little bit different on the team. He's opened some games. He's excelled in different ways. Albert Abreu is kind of like a giant wild card. Sometimes he'll throw 100 and, he'll look nasty. Like the last 2 games, you're like, dude, there's no way that this is the same guy who gets shelled against teams that are not that good or gets shelled on, or walks the ballpark. But he's inconsistent. It's kind of
it's not a good thing when one day he looks like Edwin Diaz and then the next day he looks like Yankees Aroldis Chapman. It's not a good thing. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, man, that's not exactly a good thing. So like when he comes in the game, there's a giant question mark over your head of what kind of version of him are you gonna get. Yeah, you start to get a little nervous, and that's not exactly someone you want to keep going to because, like, if you need a guy to get you a good inning in a close game, such as like a 1-run game in the 8th inning, and you go to him, you're gonna be nervous. I was very nervous when he came in the game the other day against Toronto in that 1-run game in the 8th inning. He got the job done, and I respect that. That was great, amazing stuff by Abreu. But we've also seen him implode, lose his command, give up big hits, give up home runs. I mean, we've seen the ups and downs. It's been multiple times that we've given him the chance, and almost every single time he's kind of been that up and down guy. So it's like, how much longer are we going to continue that experiment? We have guys like Matt Crook in AAA right now who is dealing, and that could be up here. We could use another lefty. I'm pro bring up Matt Crook. I've been someone that's been saying that they need to call him up. I think it'd be really valuable to do that. We need another lefty. Our only lefty is Peralta. I think having Crook come up would be good. I think it would be, good to, demote Abreu or even DFA him, let him go. Something should change, but that's a conversation for a different time. Albert Abreu didn't pitch today, so we're not just going to rag on him the entire day. But it's definitely something to look at as the bullpen situation overall.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like the Yankees are just kind of need guys who traditionally haven't pitched very well or aren't very consistent to just get the good outcomes. And as you mentioned, Matt Crook, definitely a guy I think we will pound the table. I mean, I will pound the table at least because my table, I've hit my hand on my table before and I've come out okay, so I can do that. But Matt Crook is a guy that like he just should be here. I feel like he is a major leaguer. And quite honestly, it doesn't hurt to take a risk, but we'll have to wait and see on that front. With Severino coming back, there are going to be roster moves that they're going to make. So I wonder what that looks like. I wonder if they send anyone down. I wonder if maybe we could see Ryan Weber sent up, but we'll see on that front. As for this next comment from Trevor, Anthony Rizzo is my favorite first baseman in Major League Baseball. Paul Goodwin's the second favorite first baseman. I think Rizzo's kind of just become one of my favorite Yankees. Like, it's just like he's Mr. Consistent. Last year in the postseason, he was good. In the wild card game that they lost, he hit a home run. Every time you need Anthony Rizzo to have good numbers, he just does. Like, he's just good. Like, he just does his job.
I've always been a big Anthony Rizzo fan, even when he was in Chicago. Very great player. I love his game. He's a good left-handed bat. I thought he was perfect for Yankee Stadium when we traded him, so I really was on board with the trade when we got him 2 years ago. Fun fact, when several years ago when my sister was having surgery, Anthony Rizzo actually signed a picture and sent it to my sister because I think he's related to my sister's doctor or something like that. So there's like some relation they have. I think it was Rizzo's agent is related to her doctor's brother or something like that. There's some sort of correlation there was. So there's actually a signed picture of it. He's a really good guy. I haven't gotten to speak to the guy, obviously, and neither has my sister, but just looking at, he's a really great guy. So I just thought I'd share that little tidbit because we have that, but I don't have the picture near me right now, but if I had it, I would have shown it, but it's really cool.
That's
really
an
cool
awesome story. Well, I didn't know that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
I don't remember all the details of it, how it happened that way, because it was several years ago. But we do have the picture, and there's a little like personalized note on it with his autograph on it. It's a pretty cool thing.
That's awesome,
I thought it was cool. It was while he was still in the Cubs too, so it's pretty cool having this Yankee now. So
he's always been a class act, and like I think obviously, like I say, where the pinstripes well is in like just the way he carries himself. I feel like he's become a leader in this clubhouse. He's a big part of this team. He's been here since 2021, not a very long time, but he's quickly become just a leader on this team. He knows what it's like to win a World Series. He knows how to lead a clubhouse. And I think that those skills were things that Brian Cashman and the Yankees definitely at least felt were important when they acquired him in the first place. I think that definitely played a role in them bringing him in. So yeah, no, I'm really, look, that's an awesome story. And I think Anthony Rizzo is just an awesome dude. Great day today. King is the king of New York. Michael King, I think you can make a legitimate argument that Michael King has been like an all-star caliber reliever, one of the best relievers in baseball. Ever since he's moved to the bullpen, really, it just feels like he's money, right? Like he's that guy. I think I would comfortably put him in like the top 20 relievers in all of Major League Baseball. And considering he's coming back from an elbow fracture, I expect him to take a step back. He's been excellent. He's been, in terms of ERA, I'm pretty sure a little bit better than where he was last year. And that's in a much tougher run environment. Runs are up this year by a good amount. That's because of the bigger bases, all the new rules that they have in place. His strikeouts, they look pretty good. His strikeout to walk rate's pretty solid. Things just look good for Michael King right now. So, what are your thoughts on Michael King's numbers this season? What is your letter grade for him right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's been terrific. If I were to give him a letter grade, I'm gonna grade this based on his last 2 seasons, just because this is still early in this season, so I'm not gonna give him an early season grade like that. He's been like an A. I won't go A+ because he hasn't been perfect, but he's been phenomenal. And I'm really happy that he's been figured his stuff out after not working out as a starting pitcher. Came into the bullpen, he's figured it out. I have a question for you. Where would you rank him among non-closers? Because I mean, relief pitchers, we're probably including closers overall, but if you were to talk about non-closing relief pitchers, where do you have him? Because he could be very well in that top 10, top 5 range of non-closing pitchers type area. Where do you think about that?
Yeah, for setup guys, he's definitely one of the best in the league, right? It's kind of weird because the Yankees don't have a set closer, right? Like sometimes it's Clay Holmes, sometimes it's Michael King, sometimes it's Wandy Peralta, sometimes it's Ron Marinaccio, sometimes it's Ryan Weber, like today. So it's really, really weird because you would argue technically speaking, Clay Holmes is the guy with the most closing experience on the team, but I don't think you would say Clay Holmes is the number one guy I'd go to in like the ninth inning of a World Series game and everyone's available. And that's not to like diss him. I think King is the guy I would go to in that spot, but I think that just speaks to how good of a reliever he is. So yeah, definitely ranks very highly on like that non-closers list, if you get what I'm saying.
It's definitely something to think about, It's
Yeah,
definitely something to think about because I mean he is an elite reliever. He quickly became one too. So, every time I say quickly, Ryan here thinks I'm talking about Emmanuel Quickly from the Knicks. So I got to make sure I don't say quickly too much.
yeah, no, definitely. Look, yeah, no, every time Dylan says quickly, I immediately think of the guy who probably should have won the Sixth Man of the Year. But with that being said, they let a man who doesn't exist hit. Yes, Ben Rortvet had a really good day at the plate. He was really impressive. I thought he did a really good job behind the dish. I know the umpire wasn't great today. I know Brito struggled, but I didn't feel like it was because Rortvet was calling bad pitches or whatever it may be. He impressed me with the bat. Since he's left-handed, that's always going to be something that makes him a little more intriguing if you're a Yankee fan. I feel like he had a really good debut. What did you think
He
about Ben Rortvet today?
Yeah, Rortvet was great. I mean, given his first Yankee game or whatever, 2 for 4, sharp single, sharp double. I mean, he was good behind the plate, like you said. I was cool with it. Solid game. Obviously, I want to see more of him other than just one game, but before I make a full judgment. But I mean, he was pretty good. I call him now our favorite NPC because nobody thought this man existed. Of course, of course, as a joke, but you get the whole joke. So I that's what I call him now. He's our favorite NPC. That's what I guess that's what I'm gonna call him. If you want to call him that as well, go for it. But anyways, jokes aside, Rortvet was good today. I was happy with what he did. I was impressed with what he did. He was doing good in AAA. So I of course was expecting, a decent game out of him. Obviously, one game I can't say I expected 2 hits and 2 sharp hits, but I was excited when they brought him up because I was like, okay, lefty bat. We haven't really seen him yet. He's doing good in AAA. We saw Jake Bowers come up after he was doing good in AAA and he started off good. So it kind of gave me some encouragement. Like, okay, maybe Rortvet can be pretty solid for us. I wouldn't even rule it out if sometime down the line if they make him the backup catcher over Higgy. It depends really, of course, the long-term outcome for both those guys and how those two perform the rest of the season. But it should be something to watch. It should be something to watch. I know Austin Wells is on his way pretty soon. I don't know if it'll be this year, but could be next year. He was just named the top 100 prospect today. So they have some catching options right now at the moment. Obviously, they're kind of just waiting probably for Wells to come up for the long-term solution. Trevino became a good solution, obviously. Platinum glove, all that stuff. Do we know if Trevino is the forever long-term solution? No, we honestly don't know. He hasn't gone off to a great start this year, so it's definitely something to just look at. I'm not saying like Rortvet is going to become the starting catcher. No, of course not. Trevino is always going to start over Rortvet and Higgy 100% of the time. But, just looking at the future for like the backups, it's definitely something to watch. It's something to watch. As the guy to back up Trevino down the road, I would keep an eye on it. I guess we'll know more as the more Rortvet probably plays because I expect him to get some games in while Trevino is on the IL because Trevino probably won't be out that long. So I'm hoping that we get some good production out of Rortvet. That's all I'm hoping for. Just give us some good production.
Yeah, no, it definitely does feel like Rortvet can just kind of step into this role. And he's not like he's like super old either. He's like 25, if I'm not mistaken. So there's definitely a shot for him to go out and find success and maybe find lightning in a bottle here. If he's a great defender, and just like an okay hitter who's good for platoon situations, you have something, right? And as you mentioned, Tyler Wells, who actually just went yard today, that's my dog right there. That dude, him being in AA is, it is bad for the competitive balance of the Eastern League. And some owners should step up and tell the Yankees that like, it is like, I just need someone to like make them call him up and put him in AAA. But yeah, no, like they have the future at catcher. It feels like in Austin Wells, if he figures out defense. And even if he doesn't, Trevino's still on their contract for the next 3 years. And if Rortvet is something, right? If Rortvet's the left-handed Kalagashioka, right? I think he'll take it, right? You can find right-handed guys to platoon with if it comes down to that.
You would absolutely take it too because he's a lefty and plays well at Yankee Stadium. That's one thing right there. Lefty power bats always will play well at Yankee Stadium unless you're Joey Gallo. But if you're not Joey Gallo, it will 90% of the time work out. Obviously, you don't want to jinx it, but you get the point.
Yeah, no, definitely. Look, and end of the day, like I just feel like the left-handed Kalagashioka also means more like Higashioka is effective versus lefties, and there are not a lot of lefties compared to righties. Whereas for a left-handed Higashioka, which would be like a good outcome for Ben Rortvet, you get a great defender and a guy who's going to have good numbers against the majority of pitching. And the guys he won't be able to hit are lefties, in which you'd be able to insert a Trevino or maybe literally Higashioka or something like that, whatever you figure out. But it's a matter of how he handles the pitching staff from here on forward. We know he's a good defender. We know Higashioka's a good defender. We know Trevino's an excellent defender. So I think the Yankees could have something here. He might end up being the best player from that trade, which is kind of funny to think about. But yeah, we'll wait and see on that front. Yeah, it was Ryan Murphy for that Aaron Hicks trade. Speaking of catchers. Oh, this is funny. So Trevor mentioned he was going to trade Kevin Gausman for Sonny Gray because of the comments Kevin Gausman had regarding
wait, we have Yankee news. They just sent Brito down to AAA.
That makes sense. Severino's the guy that they're going to bring up. Brito goes down for
Brito
him.
down.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let him work on a breaking ball.
Let me check out the tweet, but we just got some news, so let's check it out. Okay, it's just Brito going to AAA. There was nothing else to it. So Brito's sent down. That's, like you said, probably the corresponding move for Sevy. Makes sense.
Yeah.
We talked about it a couple days ago when we talked about the opener thing. I said maybe they should think about Brito in the bullpen. You said they should probably send him down, and I agree with it. It makes sense. After today's start, it makes sense. Get him developed a little bit. Maybe develop him a better slider. Get him going a little bit. Find his command a little bit because he kind of struggled with it today. And hopefully he kicks some things into gear, and maybe he'll come back up here at some point this year. He was a contributor, so maybe he'll find a way to get back up here. Who knows? But yeah, I'd share
definitely. That. And look, end of the day, I just don't really. I feel like Brito's the guy who just needs a breaking ball, and I think this is a good opportunity for him to work on one. But yeah, no, the backstory about this is basically Kevin Gausman said that thing. I don't know if you saw the comment where it was about Kevin Gausman saying that I want the Yankees like owe us 3 innings because the Herman thing. And so I was upset about that. I didn't like that. I thought that was sir, I have to quote Aaron Judge, I have choice words that I think are better that I keep to myself.
Answer this thing from Trevor here, this comment, I mean, Sonny Gray has been really good this year. So, I mean, if you wanted to take a gamble and move Gausman for that, and the fact that Sonny Gray was available, I guess, in your fantasy league or whatever it is you're doing, I mean, who didn't take Sonny Gray? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, go ahead. You snag whoever you traded it with. I mean, you may have finessed him. You may not have. I don't know. Who knows? Because maybe Sonny Gray will hit a wall and just not do good, or maybe Kevin Gausman will turn things around after being, he's been kind of, decent this year. Hasn't been like lights out, but he's been decent. So who knows? Could be a good trade, could be not. But I mean, I'm not a GM. I don't make trades, so I'm gonna leave those trades up to you because maybe you know more about that than I do. But that's the way I see it.
No, for sure, man. For sure. Look, end of the day, I'm not great at fantasy baseball, which, generally speaking, my fantasy
baseball. I played fantasy baseball once, and I was not very good at it. And it's not that I don't know baseball. I, love baseball. It's just, fantasy baseball is just a pain, man.
Yeah, you got to command rosters, and I can't do that.
It's a pain. That's what I'm saying.
I'm also historically terrible.
You always sit the one guy because you think you're smarter than you are. You go, okay, they're facing so and so today. They're gonna go 0 for 4. Then they go 3 for 4, and you're like, well, now I just wasted points right there and lost. You know what I mean? So that's why I haven't really done fantasy like that. But I respect those who do it. It's fun when you actually are winning.
Yeah, look, dude, I once drafted Baker Mayfield with a first-round pick in a fantasy football league. So I think I think I'm the worst fantasy base. I think I might be the worst fantasy player on the planet. Shout out Baker Mayfield for helping me not win. But I did draft Christian McCaffrey before he was good, so I got him the 5th or 6th round, and I almost won my league.
Yeah, that's another one because he's always hurt.
No, but I picked him before he was good. It was right before that big year he had.
Okay. So then I'll respect that.
But I made up for it. But if I made a better first round pick, I probably
you were banking high on Baker Mayfield, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know what I was doing, but hey,
you were banking high on him. And hey, you know what? He had 2 decent seasons, but then
that was not one of his decent seasons. Yeah. It was after his rookie year. It was the OBJ first year here. That was bad. Yeah, no. So they let me cook, and I burnt the fucking kitchen down. With that being said, I need to figure out how to pronounce this because I'm really bad at pronunciations. Teodoro 1. I hope I pronounced that right. Can you explain last lineup substitution? Allen ran for Rortvet, but then went to right field with Higgy sub for Cabrera. But was Rortvet still catching? No, he was not catching. It was a guy behind the plate.
Yeah, Higashioka was behind the plate. Allen came in for Rortvet for running purposes because you're not going to have your catcher run in that situation. And you probably don't even want your catcher catching 10 innings anyway. So Higgy probably would have came in regardless, honestly. But
Yeah, no.
who knows?
And it's weird because like Higashioka's probably gonna start tomorrow because it's an 11 o'clock game. Severino's pitching, and
Yeah,
I
you're
think
going
that's why
from a
Rortvet's not
late
today.
afternoon game to a morning game, really. I mean,
Yeah, not even like
that's
not even an early
not
game,
even like
just a
an
morning
early
game.
afternoon. You're getting a morning game. I mean,
And it's
that's gonna be
10:30 over
something.
there actually. So for us, it's 11:30, but since it's Cincinnati, I believe it's 10:30. So that's even like crazier.
Jeez, that's like those minor league time starts when they
Yeah,
start
it's
at
kind of
10:30 in the
wild.
morning
Yeah,
and have the kids
there's
come on field trips.
yeah, I didn't know you knew about that. Yeah, they do that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that they did that.
we did that, and we do that in Florida
That's
sometimes. We did that
awesome.
when we were little kids. We had elementary school field trips to the Cardinals spring training field because minor league teams play there.
Yeah,
So we had field trips there and stuff like that. Games would be at like 10 o'clock in the morning or 9:30 in the morning. It
that's
was
St.
fun.
Lucie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
dude. What's awesome? So, fun fact: I like did that was like one of the reason I only know about this is because I had to do the radio production thing for a 10 o'clock game, and I didn't know what baseball and education day was. So I was like, dude, no one's gonna be able to go to a game at 10:30. They're in school, and I didn't think
And
that
then
kids could go. On
all
field
the
trips.
kids come through, and
Yeah, I just forgot kids go on field trips. I've been out of high school for 1 year. I don't know how I forgot that. I went on a field trip, so I have no idea. Like I don't know. I don't know like how I just completely brain fart on that one. I was like, man, I wonder how they're gonna get here. But they did. So yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
cool thing. I wish I got to do it as a kid, but it was in New York City, so it's not like there's no minor league teams there.
Yeah.
We each
Florida,
got
there's a
sent
lot
on
of
the
that.
Yankees.
Florida, there's a lot of that, man. Florida's a big baseball state. So
Yeah, you got, I mean, Jesus. I mean, if I had to play baseball in Florida, I would have my career ERA would be like 55. Like it might still even be 55 if like we used earned runs and just little league and all that stuff.
yeah, us Floridians are good at baseball. Maybe not
Yeah,
me, but a lot of them.
dude, it's crazy the baseball scene down there. But
Yeah.
Trevor asked a really interesting question. Should Anthony Volpe be the leadoff hitter? I think he should. I'd like to see that happen again. I thought they went away from that too soon. I would not pull the plug on it, at least not yet. I'm kind of mixed about this. I feel like you have to hit him towards the bottom of the lineup just because he's still finding his footing in Major League Baseball, and you want your leadoff hitter to have a high OBP. So I'm leaning towards still keep him out of there for now, but don't hit him ninth. I think hitting him like sixth and seventh are kind of the right spots to use him. What do you think about that?
I agree. Hitting him sixth or seventh is fine. I understand why you want him leading off, and I was actually pro Volpe leadoff early in the season. I see now why they're batting him lower in the lineup because, like you said, he needs to get accustomed more to the league. He's not exactly like gotten his way in yet, if that makes sense. He's still figuring things out. So, I don't mind where he's hitting right now. Where he's hitting right now is fine. Maybe when he starts to get his footing back though, and really gets in the gear, then yeah, maybe put him lead off because he does kind of fit the persona for leadoff hitter. He's a good guy with good discipline. He doesn't, he strikes out a bit, but that's because he's a rookie. I feel like that number will go down as he gets more experience in the league. He finds his way to, get on base. He's fast. He hits for power. He can hit when he gets going, he can be hit guy who hits for average. So, he fits that profile. I think he could be a good leadoff hitter. I don't think he should be leading off yet. I think it's a little too soon. I understand what you mean. They pulled the plug on it. I get it. I don't think they necessarily gave up on the experiment yet. I think they're just kind of figuring. I think they tried it and and kind of decided like, maybe we should give him a bit more time before we really stick to it, and that's why they put him back down. So that's what I think about it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think he'll become the Yankees' like longtime leadoff hitter at some point. It's just not right now, but that's my opinion on that. I think you can mix guys in right now. It's kind of hard because I don't think they have a true leadoff hitter on the team. It's probably LeMahieu, but LeMahieu works really well in that 5 spot. I feel like Torres, they've tried it. The walk rate's good. The OBP is good. So I get the process, but I don't know how long that'll hold. So that's a wait and see on that. I think Gleyber being the leadoff hitter for right now makes sense, but I think that's still a fluid spot for them the
Yankees
season
are a
goes on.
weird team where they don't have a set leadoff hitter nor a set closer. All they really have set is Judge and Stanton are your guys that are going to bat second and fourth, and Garrett Cole is your ace. That's pretty much what's set in stone. The rest of it is kind of just let's see.
Yeah,
Let's
when
experiment.
healthy, the 2 through 4 is never going to change, but
No.
they're going to make.
But everything else will mix and match. We don't know who the closer is right now. We don't know who the leadoff hitter is right now. All we know, like I said, is the 2, 3, 4, and the Garrett Cole is the ace. And when healthy, Carlos Rodon is your number 2.
Yeah,
And
and I don't necessarily think that's a
about it.
terrible thing. I mean, the pitching side of the ball, it's not
It's not
great.
it's
But
not
like,
always an awful no, it's not always an awful thing, but, there like I said, most teams have that kind of established leadoff hitter or
yeah,
that established closer. The Yankees are one of those teams that don't. You know,
yeah.
thankfully, we've been still successful. I know it hasn't been, the prettiest of starts to this season, but given the circumstances, I think this is a pretty good start to the season, and I think they'll only get better as they get healthier. So,
Yeah, no, I think it's a matter of if not when Volpe becomes the leadoff hitter, but I could be wrong about that. I hope I'm not though. I thought we were pretty resilient in the Rays with the Rays in the Tampa series at Tropicana Field, gave the Rays a good run for their money. Yeah, I thought that was kind of like the first sign of like, all right, there's some life here. It felt like the pitching is what let them down, not the offense. And so it was like, okay, not a great series because we lost. But with that being said, hey, the Yankees are doing a thing right now. And I think that the offense coming together and all that stuff
yeah. And
is
I
really
and I
why we're in the
mentioned it
situation we are.
before too, like once Bader came back, it was in that Rays series. So that's really when I noticed things starts to click. Once we got him back, his bat, his energy, his defense, that's when things started to click. So yeah, I definitely agree. That's when we kind of were really resilient. Yeah, like you said, they gave the Rays a good run for their money. We didn't make it easy for them. They got off to really a historic start, one of the best starts really ever by a team at this stage of the season, and we didn't make it easy for them. I know they took 2 out of 3, I think it was, right? But we didn't make it easy, and then they met us again at our place the next week, and we split. So we've shown that we can beat them, and we haven't necessarily been better than them in those games, but we've shown we can be good and we can be better than them once things really start to click. Obviously, we're not going to make a conclusion now in late May, but I think you get the point that I'm making.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, like, I think at this point we're kind of looking at it as like a situation where that race series kind of, I think, was the jump start and like kind of like told, like kind of like show the Yankees, hey, you can compete with these guys. But you can't be as sloppy. You can't be as sloppy on the pitching side of the ball, and you have to find some sort of consistency. And hey, I think that series really turned the year around for the offense at least. Johnny Brito getting sent down, yeah, that's what ended up happening.
And he is. So
My friend who's a Mets fan told me last night must be nice to beat the Reds. My Mets couldn't beat the Reds. The Reds came into the series with like a 20-24 record, which I know isn't good, but like it's not like astronomically terrible. If you remember last year, they were like
yeah, when
historically bad.
they were like 3-21 to
Yeah, it
start
was
last
bad.
year.
I
Yeah,
feel like they're kind of like meh. Like they're like bad, but not like atrocious enough where like you should feel like sweeping them's automatic. Like I felt like sweeping the A's was automatic. I would have
oh
been
yeah,
stunned if they didn't sweep the Rays. The A's, excuse me, not the Rays. But now I'm kind of with the Reds, it's more like I want them to sweep them. I think they should sweep them, but I wouldn't be shocked if they like lost the game, if you get what I'm saying. And
yeah,
yeah,
and the Reds have decent players. I mean, Jonathan India is a good player. Tyler Stevenson, when he's on, is a good player. No, he's struggling right now, but he is a good player. They don't have like bad players. Nick Senzel was a second overall pick. I know he's dealt with a bunch of injuries and he hasn't been like amazing throughout his career so far, but these aren't necessarily bad players. They're just, they're not elite players. They're not like, all-star players. They're not really good players. They're just, you know, they're not like the A's where you read their lineup and you're kind of like, who are these guys? I don't know who any of these guys are. You know what I mean? Like, and that's no disrespect to the Oakland A's. It's just that's part of the rebuild, and a lot of these guys are brand new to the league. They're brand new faces in Oakland, so a lot of these guys they probably are facing the A's and are hearing about half of those guys for the first time. You know what I mean? So it's not like the Reds are like that. I know there's some names you're watching, you go like, who is that guy? But you know, if you watch a little bit more, you kind of know like they're not like awful players, but they're not like good players. It's a weird place they're in, but I get your point. They're not like terrible. They're just not good. That's
yeah,
a
they're
good
just
way to
kind of
put
like
it.
there, not like
They're
in a
just
bad
not
way. They're
good.
just
They're in a rebuild. They're not going to be competitive this year. No matter how close to 500 they are, they're not going to be competitive, but you know, you feel like that in a few years if they just continue the rebuild process correctly, then they can be good again at some point. It's just part of
yeah.
it. It happens.
Yeah, it literally it is what it is for them right now. Jeffy asks me, hi, asks us, hi, you good? I think we're good. I think we're doing all
Yeah.
right after that win. Hi, how you doing?
Yeah.
Think we're doing good.
Yeah. I think
Uh,
we're doing pretty good.
you guys think they could have gotten anything for Hicks if they ate the salary, got a reliever, and Torres should absolutely needs to be traded and Prosper needs to get second base shortstop. You have to agree with that. First part of that question, I don't think they could have traded Hicks. I think they would have had to eat an obscene amount of money. Maybe, I mean, technically because he's DFA'd, if a team claims him, they could make a trade, but I don't think that's happening. He's also just not like, I don't think
There
teams
wasn't
want
really
to roster
value you
him.
got out of Hicks at
Yeah,
this
I don't
point.
think
There
teams
wasn't any
want to
value you
roster him
got.
right
And
now.
the combination of the lack of value, the lack of production, and the fact that he's on a $70 million contract, you got to pay the guy $10 million for the production he gives you. I don't think many teams would have wanted to take that in a trade. I think many teams would rather take the flyer through a free agency and give him a smaller deal and see what they can get out of that instead. I think that's just smarter for baseball teams to do. And I think Hicks is, I think Hicks knows that. I think he knows his fate lies at that. I do think there will be a team that'll take a flyer on him though, especially after they saw how how he's kind of gotten a little bit better this month and how he had that 3-hit game against Toronto. I feel like there'll be a team that'll kind of, I don't think it'll be a good team. I think it'll be like, an team that'll kind of, maybe take a flyer on him and say, okay, we've seen what he can do. We've seen what he did in those 4 years before the surgery with the Yankees. Maybe we could figure him out. They may take the flyer. And if it doesn't work, then it's on to the next team. That's kind of just where it lies now for Hicks. I don't know how much longer he has in Major League Baseball. It's kind of unfortunate, but we shall see what happens with him. I wish him the best. I don't want him to kind of, just fall out of the league so fast. I do want, just as a human being, I want to see him succeed. So I hope he finds that. That's all I really hope for.
Yeah, no, definitely. Look, at the end of the day, I think that when we're looking at Torres, like he's been like he has a 111 WRC plus. The Yankees need offense. I'm not gonna sit here and say, yeah, the Yankees got to trade him right now. If they trade him in the deadline, they find value for him. That's fine. I think Peraza's a good player, and I think Peraza should eventually be a part of this team. But why do we have to trade Glaber? I feel like this idea that you have to trade Glaber is absurd to me. But oh wait, you're muted right now.
I didn't realize I was muted. My bad. But I kind of agree. Like, the idea of like absolutely having to trade Glaber is not necessary. I don't think so. I mean, he's still productive, still a very high productive second baseman. I know he had his ups and downs, a rough 2020, a rough 2021. Turned it around last year though. And that kind of gave me the sign like, okay, maybe he can still figure things out. He's still young. I don't want to give up on him just yet. I know I was, previous years I was kind of being like, okay, maybe it's time we do move on. From a baseball standpoint, moving on from Torres does make sense, but there is also an argument for why you don't need to move on from him. They're in a weird spot. They're in a very weird spot, and eventually they are going to have to make a decision between who do they want to keep long term, Torres or Peraza. They're going to have to make that decision soon. I wonder what they're going to do at the deadline. If they're going to, try to see maybe if they can find some value out of Peraza as a trade piece. I wonder what they're going to do. Who knows? I understand not everyone is like a big Glaber fan, but I don't think Glaber is necessarily a bad baseball player. I think Glaber can be a very productive player. I don't think he's perfect by any means. I don't think he's the same player he was back in 2019 where he hit like 38 home runs or something like that. I don't think he's going to get back to that level of his career anytime soon, but I do think he's still an impactful player, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. Look, end of the day, again, a 111 WRC plus is a 111 WRC plus. When you're 11% better than the league average hitter, you are 11% better than the league average hitter. And the Yankees need offense. You can't be. I feel like it's hard for us to sit here and talk about, hey, the Yankees as an offense, they need to make sure they keep their guys healthy, all this, all that, and then argue that the Yankees should trade someone who's been an above average hitter for them this season. Especially considering, again, the Yankees don't have a leadoff hitter. He's one of the few guys on the team that has a high OBP. And it's like what they do, right? So yeah, I think that's another factor into why we shouldn't trade him. But I think that could happen at the deadline. I think that's more of a wait and see situation. But yeah, who do you think becomes the scapegoat for Yankee fans now that Hicks is gone? I feel like Glaber maybe with his low IQ plays. Again, I know that he's not a gold glover out there, but I think low IQ is a little bit much. I feel like it's kind of like, I don't know how Glaber would become the scapegoat. If he does, that'd be really weird because he's an above average baseball player. Like that, it's not like he's playing bad baseball this season. He's been solid this year. Has he been elite? No, but he's been solid. So like it would be weird for him to become the quote unquote scapegoat. I also don't think we need to look for one. I think we can just say, hey, the team's playing well right now and kind of go from there. What do you think?
No, I agree. I mean, you don't want to necessarily just search for a scapegoat because that's kind of like just like, oh, you just want to hate someone. The Yankees fans are weird. It's gonna be weird like that sometimes, and like have to hate somebody. I don't think you have to hate somebody. You can not like someone's performance on the field if they're not performing well. That's perfectly fine. But the notion that you have to find that one guy you just despise or just want gone is kind of ridiculous to me. You know what I mean? Like I get the frustration with some of the guys on the team, such as like Donaldson or IKF or Willie Calhoun or guys like that. I understand there's frustration beneath that, but like, you know, searching for a scapegoat is kind of just like, I don't know. It's not something that I would not do. I don't think many guys should be doing that. I understand why there's frustration, but you know, it's kind of weird to me that Yankees fans purposely are searching to look for the guy to hate. I've been seeing it all over Twitter today. Like they were like, oh, people were saying too. It's kind of sad because they were like, now that Hicks is gone, that means now the fans are gonna have to find someone to hate, and that's kind of odd. And I don't agree with the notion that they should be doing that. I'm not gonna necessarily pick a player that like will become a scapegoat because like I don't want to do that. I don't want to, in a way, influence people to be like, okay, I said IKF should be the scapegoat, so everyone go hate IKF right now. No, like I'm not. No, I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? So the way I see it is, they shouldn't just look. They shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't look for a scapegoat. But whatever happens, happens. We can't control what all the fans think about the players. We can't control everyone's emotions. So whatever happens, happens. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I don't disagree, man. Look, end of the day, it's an unfortunate reality of sports where like you're gonna get that type of like kind of behavior, if you get what I'm saying. But I don't think we need to look for a scapegoat. Someone's gonna perform poorly and they're gonna get a lot of flack, but it's a team game, it's a team sport. So yeah, that's my opinion on that factor. With that being said, Daryl had another question. Do you think Ryan Weber could actually be a key piece in this bullpen? He provides a different look from the usual high velocity coming from the pen. I think it's hard for him to become a key piece because he doesn't get strikeouts. I think in the postseason environment, we're facing the Tampa Bay Rays, the Houston Astros, teams like that. You want to strike them out. You don't want to let them make contact. It allows base runners to move around. And you also have to think in the reliever sense, right? If it's runners on second and third, you want to strike out, right? If you're going to get a ball in play, that's going to score a run. So that matters as well. I think it's just a matter of like you at some point not being able to get strikeouts. And it's not that he can't get strikeouts. It's that it's astronomically low. I think that plays a role into how effective you are. And so I think he's a nice, like, fun piece of the bullpen that's helped this team, but I don't think he's like a key piece the way I would look at like Clay Holmes or Ron Marnacchio or Ronnie Peralta or Michael King or even Jonathan Loaizaga when he's healthy. What do you think about that?
Yeah, like, right now he's going to be a key piece because our bullpen is so decimated that we're going to kind of need him. But like you said, when it comes to the playoffs and stuff, they're not going to ask Ryan Weber to get you 6 outs in a close game or 3 outs in the ninth inning of a tie game or something like that. They're not going to ask him to do that. I don't even know if he'll be on the big league roster in the playoffs. That's still up in the air. That's not even a guarantee. So could he be a key piece? It really just depends what happens with how he improves with his stuff and how he kind of just folds his way into this bullpen, I guess. I mean, he's shown what he's capable of, and it's impressive, but he's also someone that you can kind of replace. And that's a little unfortunate, but it's true. You can find guys that can possibly throw harder or guys that have nastier stuff that can serve a bigger role in the pen. It's just true. That's not a knock on Weber. Every pitcher has different stuff and it's effective, and Weber has in fact been effective. But like you said, I don't think he's going to be like a playoff guy. You're not going to rely on him in the playoffs. If the Yankees are relying on Ryan Weber in the playoffs, that's a bit of a problem. That's a problem on either the manager, Aaron Boone, or the fact that the bullpen is injured that badly and something's wrong with the training staff or whatever. That's something like like I'll put it this way. If Ryan Weber comes in the game in a playoff game, let's say it's game 5, series tied 2-2, you need a big win or something like that. You're facing the Astros and it's a 3-3 game in the 7th inning and Ryan Weber comes in to pitch, I'd be concerned. I would be concerned about it personally.
Yeah, no, I think they'll also have too many guys coming back healthy and they'll make an addition at the deadline. So that's my opinion on that. So I don't think
Yeah.
he'll get the opportunity really. But hey, I hope he proves me wrong because he seems like a cool dude.
Yeah, you know what? I love being proved wrong. I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
I,
So
I I love being wrong when it means that my team does well. I'm rooting for my
I
team to play well. I'm not rooting to be right, if you get what I'm saying.
of course. And if he proves me wrong and does good and becomes a key piece, I will gladly accept my L on that take.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you there. You know what I mean? So Um, yeah, no, look, hopefully he proves us wrong. Making me feel some type of way to hearing all that about Captain Judge. So it's not impossible for him to have a similar season to the incredible historic season from last year. I think it's not impossible. I think it's going to be, I don't think he's going to get to home run numbers, obviously, but I think it's totally possible for him to like lead the league in WRC plus again and be a consistent like 180 WRC plus hitter. I didn't know this until I checked this a couple of days ago. In his last like 240 games played, his WRC plus is like 195. So he's a near 200 WRC plus hitter in over a year and a half sample size, which I think is crazy.
I don't think a lot of us realize how insane that actually is.
Yeah, and that number's only gone up. That number's going to go up today.
Even if you're not a high analytical person, a 195 WRC plus is like Barry Bonds level. I'm not even joking. And I'm not saying Aaron Judge is Barry Bonds. No, but that's kind of where you're reaching in that category. You're not talking about just guys like MVP players, but not like Hall of Fame players. You're not talking like a Joey Votto. No, you're talking about like a Hall of Famer, a first ballot Hall of Fame type trajectory. Not saying like he's going to continue that pace, of course not, but that is insane. I think a lot of us need to realize that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And end of the day, like, just be like, I think not enough people gave him enough credit for just the fact that he did something, not the 62 home run part. That's obviously he got a lot of credit for that, but his WRC plus and OPS plus were the highest since Barry Bonds, right? Like, how many people not named Barry Bonds have done what Aaron Judge have done offensively? Not many. Especially not in recent years, kind of the post-integration era, right? You kind of see that WRC pluses go down, right? More competition, right? The integration of, just having the entire United States now be eligible to play Major League Baseball, that made the talent pool a lot better. And now, it's hard to say, hey, let me hit off with this guy who's, has a second job on the side. Now it's
right. Like, and I want to add to kind of clarify my Joey Votto, Aaron Judge comparison. I'm not saying Joey Votto is not a Hall of Famer. He probably is. But when you hear Joey Votto, do you think best first baseman of all time? No, you probably don't. I would imagine you don't. So that's kind of just how I put it in that regard. And I'm not saying Aaron Judge is Joey Votto. No, of course not. I'm saying Judge is on a better career trajectory than that. Like we're entering like A-Rod type numbers. Guys like that. That's where you're entering. So that's the point I was trying to make with
the
that.
prime he's had is unmatched, right? Like there are not a lot of people who like. It's not like there's just not a player that's playing today that I think, outside of maybe like Mike Trout has a prime that compares to Aaron Judge, pure offensive numbers. Obviously, I'm not going to include pitchers in this. It's like, it's impossible to compare like a pitcher's numbers to a hitter's numbers. It's completely different stuff, but not a lot of guys can do what Aaron Judge has done. And that's speaking in the terms of the history of baseball. So yeah, no, definitely one of those things where it's like, it's historic, right? And that number that I mentioned earlier,
it's not just very good. It's historic. That's something you got to emphasize.
Yeah.
It's not just like really good. Oh, amazing. Very cool. No, it's like, holy crap, this guy's going to do something crazy. This is like insane. We haven't seen this really from anybody. You could probably count on your fingers how many guys have done what Judge has been doing.
And funny enough, he's kind of like just turned from just like, hey, this guy will hit like 40 something home runs a year to, oh yeah, he'll also be in the batting title race. He's hitting over 300.
He'll be in the batting title race. He'll lead the league in RBIs. He'll lead the league in doubles. He'll lead the league in extra base hits overall. He'll lead the league in OPS. He'll lead the league in slugging. Oh, no big deal. He just did all that. Just dominated everyone on offense. No big deal, right?
Yeah, no. Again, last 1,059 play appearances, he's hitting 304, and he has that's unbelievable. And that's on top of the 600 something slugging percentage, 91 home runs, 411 on base percentage. Like everything.
The thing is, like there are players that could be really good for a couple years, but Aaron Judge has been doing this his entire career.
Exactly.
He had 52 home runs his rookie season, and we didn't think he was ever going to get that again. Not only did he do it again, but he hit 10 more. It feels like now he can do that even more.
He arguably has the best rookie season of the post-integration era and the best like offensive season by a non-steroid user. There's
another tidbit I have too. Era. Like there are only a handful of guys you could probably count on your fingers. I think there's like 8 guys ever that have hit 50 home runs in the season twice or more than once. I should at least say, because some guys hit it 3 times. And those guys you're talking are like Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, Alex Rodriguez. Those guys, those are the type of guys. Willie Mays. You're talking guys like Willie Mays, man. Guys that are first ballot Hall of Famers, guys that are in like the GOAT conversation. for baseball. Not saying Aaron Judge is going to, I'm not definitively sitting here right now saying Aaron Judge is going to be the GOAT of baseball one day. No, not saying that. But he can, if he just continues this pace for just even a few more seasons, you could be talking about him in a top 100 player of all time or a top 50 player of all time. Even you could argue he's already a top 100 player of all time right now.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what I mean?
really
Like
he's not going to
it's
win the
that's
longevity battle, but he'll win the prime battle. And
oh,
that's
without a
that's going
doubt.
to make an interesting conversation, because it's like, hey, his prime is how many guys have his prime? Like even right now, how many guys have a prime like Aaron Judge? The answer is not very many. So it's like, how not that how much better is Aaron Judge compared to like most people in their prime, but like legitimately, how many people can match up with this prime? And that's going to be something that's going to get a lot of discussions when we talk about Hall of Fame a lot stuff, right? I know that we're
Right.
kind of thinking a little bit more down the road than 2023, definitely more down the road than 2023. We're talking more like, closer to 2040, if anything like that, but still, it's
Right, and I'm
definitely
gonna
something
look
to keep
up
your
real
eyes
quick
on.
like the exact number on how many players of all time have ever had 50 home runs in multiple seasons. I'm gonna get that pulled up right now. But while I do that, just it doesn't go it can't go unnoticed of just how historic his pace is. Even if
Yeah,
you think that Aaron Judge is just a good baseball player, he's a phenomenal baseball player. He's an all-time baseball player. You could argue right now he's already one of the best Yankees ever, and he's only
he
played with the
definitely is.
organization for like 7 to 8 years or something like that. You could say that he is already one of the best Yankees of all time. Broke the record that a former Yankee held. All this good stuff. I mean, what more can you ask out of the guy? What more can you ask? The
I'm
only
not
thing
really sure.
you can't ask more out of Judge himself. What you need to ask is, can the organization give him a supporting cast that'll finally get him a championship that he deserves? And I'm not saying it's all Judge that deserves the championship. No, of course the team deserves the championship, but Judge pretty much like turned this team back to where it should be, because people forget too, from the years 2013 to 2016, we were not good. The Yankees were not a good baseball team. They missed the playoffs 3 out of those 4 times, and the one time they did was a wild card game appearance, which they lost and didn't even score a run in. So, and then Aaron Judge came in 2016. He obviously wasn't very good. 2017, and then had that great rookie season. The rest is history. We've made the playoffs ever since. I know we've been falling short. We've had a couple ALDS exits, ALCS exits. We've had a wild card exit. I know we've had a few of that, but just looking at that, you got to give the guy credit, man. He's been insane. It's insane. It's insane. Like I am stunned at what he does. Like it amazes me every day. You know what I mean? He quickly became one of my favorite player on the Yankees overall, just from a fan standpoint, and just I can't. I'm running out of words, man. I'm running out of words to describe Judge because he's that good. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to, not trying to just make this episode all about Judge. No, of course not. It's
Well,
just that's how good he is, man.
this
That's how
game
good he
kind of feels like it was
is.
all about Judge from the second we start. Like it just
Oh,
feels like
well,
it's
yeah, of
yeah,
course,
and Anthony Rizzo, but
yeah, of course, but still, of course, there are still 24 other guys on the major league roster, but Aaron Judge, look how much better the team is right now with Judge on the roster than how bad we were in the 10 games he missed. He only missed 10 games, and we almost fell to below 500. He only
yeah,
missed
no,
10
it's
games, and we almost fell that far down. We were in last place when Aaron Judge was on the injured list. Aaron Judge missed only 10 games, and we felt his effects from one game being missed. The one time he was not in the lineup, we felt it. And then we nevertheless had to deal
yeah.
with it 9 more times.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely look, I could not be happier with where we're at with Aaron Judge and just how things have gone with him in his career. I think, this is one of the greatest the Yankees, as you mentioned, we've seen. We've spent a lot of time talking about Judge, so I'm kind of just gonna fly through some of these responses.
Go
Um,
for it, man.
so Sarah says, keep up the great work, guys. We appreciate it. Hey, look, I think this has been one of our best live in terms of like performance. We've gotten like 40 something viewers at times. It's been an hour. We've been able to keep people retained. So I think, this has definitely worked out really well. So appreciate the support. Bet Rortvet exists. Yes, Kai, man. He does indeed exist. I wish we could trade Josh Donaldson. I wish we could too, but I don't think you're going to be able to do so without getting a lot of that money still on the books. And I think that's kind of the real issue, which is I don't think the Yankees, not that I don't think the
Yeah.
Yankees want to eat the money, but I don't think the
As
Yankees
much
want to
as
eat the
we would
money right
love to
now.
trade him, but that money is going to be an issue. That
Yeah,
money
I
is
don't think
really
anyone
going to
wants to take
cause an
that,
issue. It's going
which
to cause an
sucks,
issue.
but
It is what it is, man.
yeah, it is what it is. Sometimes sometimes it's all we can really say about things. Today doesn't feel real. Ben plays a game with us and playing it well. On top of that, Hicks DFA, ICAF home run. IKF makes a great game-saving catch. And yeah, like this was just like this did not feel like a real game. Okay, I don't know if this is like on my end weird. I wasn't nervous for a second during that game. We were down 4-1. I was like, oh well. We
Yeah,
were
I was,
down.
down 4-1. Of course, I was a little like, oh, please don't tell me we're gonna lose to the Reds, right? And then they came back, and I was like, okay, we're definitely gonna win this game. I had confidence. I was like, we're gonna win this game, even when it was only 4-4 the rest of the way. I had a good feeling about it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And that comment is very true. Rortvet played. IKF hit a home run. Just IKF hitting a home run in general already classifies it as a weird game. I think that's fair to say right there. IKF hitting a home run in a baseball game for the New York Yankees already classifies it as
yeah.
we're gonna remember that game. We're gonna remember the game IKF home run. Like we pretty much remember like all. Did you spill something, dude?
No, I didn't. I just like I picked up my phone to and I just slipped out of my hand. I was like, okay. It was very loud.
Gonna say, don't spill something on your stuff. but anyway, like I was saying, like I said, IKF hitting a home run anyway, it classifies as a weird game. I mean, remember when Aaron Hicks hit the home run against Oakland a few weeks ago, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, Aaron Hicks hit a home run!" What? It falls in that same place, falls in that same category.
Yeah, no, it was.
But you know what though?
Game.
Shout out IKF because he has been playing pretty well this week, so he deserves respect.
He does. Look,
we've had 2 IKF games this week, so
that's kind of crazy. He's hit like he's had 2 IKF. We've had 2 IKF games, which is crazy. That's not. I didn't think I was gonna be saying that today, but hey, that's what I'm saying. Weird week for the Yankees. Just a weird day all around. I mean, it sounds made up. Yeah, no, that sounds like something I like have a fever dream about. I feel like
Yeah, right.
Like,
I mean, it sounds like okay. When the season began, how many people could say they had a game where IKF was going to hit a home run, make a game-saving catch in the outfield? Nevertheless, Ben Rortvet played the game. Everyone would guess Aaron Judge with a 4-hit game, but all that combined in the same game. Who had that coming into the season that was going to happen at any point in the season? Nevertheless, in a late May game, so early, relatively early in the season. I mean. Like it's kind of funny when you think about it.
I know it's kind of crazy. We're kind of at the point where it's like, all right, so the Yankees are being guided by Isaiah and Kiner Falefa, but hey, I will take it.
He'll take us to the promised land. I guarantee it.
I can't wait for Severino and Rodon. Neither can we. Severino starts again at 11:30 tomorrow, so that'll be interesting. If Benny keeps up with the glove and can continue to be tolerable at the bat, maybe he'll be Trevino's backup in 2023 instead of Higashioka. I understand it's been one game versus the Reds, but still, no. I think we're all kind of like, understanding of the fact that this is a 1-game sample size and we need to see a lot more. But we also recognize that like the upside is definitely there. There's a reason the Yankees acquired him, so it's kind of like a mix of like. Obviously, we're not going to sit here and say Ben Rortvet's like a catcher of the future, but hey, can he be decent, right? And that's really the question.
All we ask for is to be a solid backup. We were talking about it earlier in this episode, in this live. Just be a solid backup, but that's really all you kind of ask for out of him. So if he can do that, then great. You live with it. I don't expect him to do anything crazy for us, honestly. If he does, that'd be awesome. It'd be fantastic. But if he doesn't, and he's just like you said, I'll use your word here, tolerable, then perfect. He's tolerable, and we'll take it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Jimmy Cordero's underrated. I agree. I think he's solid. I low-key want to see Luis Cessa rejoin the Yankees some capacity. I know he got DFA'd or like something. I know he's got released. He's no longer with the Reds anymore. Yeah. It'd be cool. I don't know where he signed. I think he might be with the AAA team, and he might have passed through waivers because when you get DFA'd, everyone has a chance to claim you.
The thing is, like, if you brought Luis Cessa back, where would he exactly fit in that?
Yeah, he actually he was just straight up released.
That's the one issue. That's the one issue. Like, okay, so like you said, he was released. I mean, so clearly the Reds couldn't find a spot for him. So I wonder what the Yankees would be able to do with him. Yeah, Luis Cessa was, not great with us, but I mean, I know he had some moments where he was decent, but overall was not very good with us. But I just wonder where he would fit. I don't really see a fit in this situation, even with this bullpen as decimated as is. I don't see a spot for him, to be honest. But maybe I'm wrong and they find a way. I don't know. I don't expect the Yankees, though, to go after Cessa, to be honest. So.
Yeah, neither do I. His velocity's down. His stuff is down. It just kind of seems like it sucks to say it, but it seems like it's just kind of that's it for Luis Cessa.
Luis Cessa is a Yankee that us fans kind of need to just move past.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It was not meant to be. I mean, I don't think anyone expected Luis Sessa to be crazy good.
Yeah,
But,
no.
but regardless of that, like he's not clearly was not a mainstay in this Yankees bullpen, and I don't think it's time to revisit that. I think it's time to just move past it. So
Yeah, no, definitely. Just kind of a weird spot in general. I don't. It sucks for him because it looks like his career is just kind of going to come to an end. Free Matt Crook. Yeah, free my boy. Free him. That's my dog right there. He. We need more Matt Crook in our lives. That's just the universal thing. I wonder if some of our bullpen pitchers have innings limits. They probably do. I mean, look, I feel like one thing I think is kind of overlooked because I think the Yankees like availability chart is a lot more complex than people think. It's not just you didn't pitch yesterday, you're available. Or, you only pitched 1 day in a row, you're available. If Clay Holmes like moved something, he's like, like yesterday I tweaked my hip. And I will not go into details of the specifics of how I tweaked my hip or what occurred when I tweaked my hip. Dylan will know what happened, but that's all that I need to say.
That's kept behind closed doors.
Yeah. But like today it feels a lot better. Like sometimes sometimes things just happen. Like if Clay Holmes woke up and he's like, my shoulder kind of hurts. And then they check it, nothing's wrong. And the next day wakes up fine. That's probably what, that's like, okay, he wasn't going to be used that night. Like things happen and it doesn't always have to be public. Like Clay Holmes doesn't have to go to the media and say, yeah, my shoulder hurts, guys. Bye. You know what I mean? Like he's probably like, oh, my shoulder hurts. I'm just going to like chill today. See what the rest of the guys are doing. Like, it's not one of those things where like baseball's a long season. Things happen that we probably don't know of. Guys play through injuries and we don't know of that. So,
there's a reason bullpen pitchers have the availability stuff and why most managers don't pitch their bullpen arms more than 2 days in a row or more than 3 days in a row. There's a reason for that because if you pitch them every day, even if they're as good, their arm is gonna fall off, dude. Like you can't kill them. They gotta have rest days. They gotta give other pitchers an opportunity to fill in those holes that are left when they can't pitch. It's just you can't pitch them every day. It's just how it is. Simple as that.
Yeah, it's that's life sometimes. They need to trade Torres. He's lazy. No, he's not lazy. I don't think you can play professional baseball at this level and be lazy. But yeah, he's definitely not lazy. I think that's like one of the
He's
last
not
words.
lazy.
Yeah.
Like I understand he makes some questionable plays sometimes, but the notion that he's lazy is just false. He's not lazy.
Yeah,
come on.
I get
Let's
graphics
not
wrong,
do
and I'd
that.
like to think I'm not lazy. It's
It
some pretty
happens. I
bad
mean,
graphic errors too.
literally in our episode a couple days ago where we talked about the openers, the graphics were literally reversed. I mean, it happens, but I wouldn't go as far to say that Torres is lazy. Like it's just a bad take.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Like, and that's not like to rag on your comment. I understand some people have their own opinions and they're entitled to it, but he's not lazy. He's not lazy. I don't want it. That take to me is kind of dead. He's not lazy.
Yeah, I'll be Dylan's angry translator here. I have no problem calling people idiots. I think it's a stupid take to call Gleyber Torres lazy, bro. Like I'm gonna keep it straight.
Maybe I'm just nicer to people.
Yeah,
but,
I think Dylan, you're just a great dude, and I am just an angry Yankee fan at times. And that is what
it
is.
all happens, man. It's all part of the game. We get emotional about our team.
Yeah, no, like I'll just be I'm not gonna like hoot and holler and start cursing, but yeah, I think this is a lazy take. Boom! I spun the word right back at him.
You really got him there, bro.
Yeah, I got him there, man. Air high five or something. I need to get
air
life,
fist
man.
bump.
By the way, I hate the opener because it can wear down a bullpen. That series against Toronto was a good example. I don't think the opener is why the bullpen got worn down. I think they're just down guys, and then they had Brito in. Like Brito didn't even implode. I think it was an error. That's why like the run started.
Brito
scoring.
pitched really well in his opener spot.
Yeah,
on paper you're gonna say he gave up a couple runs, but if you actually watch the game a little bit, you'll see it was because there was an error, some infield hits, some very weak contact, some cheap hits. It wasn't like he was getting lit up. You know what I mean? Like today was a rough start. He lost his command. He was getting hit hard. He kept leaving his pitches up in the zone a bit. He wasn't really hitting those quadrants where he wanted to be. He was leaving it belt high, leaving it for hitters to hit. That's what happened, and that's promptly why he got sent down, because clearly the pitching staff, the pitching coaching staff saw that and said, okay, we want you to tweak some things, and that's why we're going to send you down. And hopefully maybe they'll bring him back up, and maybe he'll have figured something out, and maybe they can find a proper role for him, whether it's somehow in the starting rotation. I don't expect it to be in the starting rotation, but if it were to, some starts, and maybe as a long-term relief pitcher, a long-term relief option with some major league experience, because I think this was a good time for him to get that major league experience, to kind of get accustomed to MLB a little bit, and then get sent down for some development purposes, and then come back, and hopefully he's kind of tweaked some things and worked with the pitching coaches down in AAA, worked with Matt Blake and guys like that, and then figured things out. Simple as that. We're not just gonna you know wear down on the guy who, quite frankly, was kind of just thrown into the rotation kind of out of nowhere at the end of spring training and was told, "Hey, you're going to be our 5th starter this season so far to start the year." I don't think Johnny Brito was expecting that. I don't think Yankee fans were expecting that until Severino unexpectedly went down, and then it was like, "Holy crap, we're down 3 starting pitchers now. Who's going to be the starter? Who's going to be our 5th guy?" So Brito deserves some flowers here for at least being available. There wasn't a time he wasn't available. He was available. Yes, he had some not great starts. He had that one really bad start against the Angels, and I think that really kind of messed with his confidence a little bit because he was pretty good the first 2 starts he was in the big leagues, and then that Angels start just really kind of just like tore him down a little bit. I think you can kind of see it too in the starts since then, kind of wore it down a little bit. It happens. He got his welcome to the big leagues moment, and this is his time to kind of revamp some things, retool some things, and figure things out.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, it was against the Twins, I believe. I remember I was like in the office.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Twins,
No,
my bad.
I
It
feel like
wasn't the
confused.
Angels. I get it mixed up because
don't know.
like I just it was early in the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
So
played
my
the Angels
apologies.
early in the year,
It
right?
was the yeah, I think we did, but that bad start wasn't against the Angels. It was against the Twins. You were correct. So that is my fault on that.
No, you're good. I feel like I oddly enough kind of
Because I
mixed
remember
2
it now.
teams together. Like I feel like
Yeah.
the Twins and Angels are like not, they have no relation with each other, but like I kind
Well,
of
the
like
thing is,
viewed
like,
them similarly.
they're not like teams you see a lot on TV. So I mean, they're not teams you hear about a lot in the media. So I mean, it could be easy to mix them up. But I mean, that's just on me. I should have done my due diligence and double checked it before we got on here. But yeah, that was what it was. It was Minnesota, not the Angels. So ignore my Angels comment.
I hear you. Yeah, no. Look, I feel like the Twins and the Angels. This is like the weirdest thing I'm ever gonna say. They have like a similar vibe in my head. They're like not terrible, but they're never like good enough. So like they're just kind of
Yeah,
in my head, like
they're
just like,
just
oh, they exist. They're fun
they
teams. Like they're like
yeah.
a fun
They
pick
have
to win their division or something
they
like
have
that.
fun players. I mean,
Yeah,
Minnesota has Buxton, Gallo. Obviously, the Angels have the 2 best players in baseball, Trout and Ohtani. So I mean, they have fun guys. They're a vibes team.
yeah,
They're a
no,
vibes
definitely.
team.
There are
They're
all
they're a
vibes, no
vibes team.
wins.
They're a
All vibes, no playoff wins.
all vibes, no rings.
Damn.
No,
But
I'm joking. I'm joking. But
no, I mean
still.
it's true, but
I can't say
um
much. We haven't won a World Series in 14 years, so can't say
that's
much.
I was 4. That's still weird to me. But
Yeah, I was
oh no,
only
I was
7,
5, I
so
think.
I was
But
7, so
this
it's
is, I
been a
think,
long time.
I think this is referring to your story about Rizzo, which again, like that's like an
Yeah,
incredible
it
story. I
was.
had no idea, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I don't think we're getting a starting pitcher at the deadline unless it's Ohtani, Hermanes, our 6-star, sadly our 6-star insurance starter. Well, I think yes and no. Like I think they'll get a depth starter, but in the same vein, like it has to be someone who's bad enough to not cost much, but good enough to actually help this team. Just because I don't think they want to put Schmidt in the rotation again if he's moved back to Volpe. I think they just want to have Schmidt do what Schmidt is going to do for the future at this point. He's 27 years old. You need him to find a role eventually, right? And I think it's clear he's not as a starter. I know he turned in a pretty good outing against the Reds, but I think you and I can agree. You look at his stuff, you look at what he's accomplished in the bullpen in the past, and you're like, yeah, there's no reason for him to try to be an inconsistent starter when he could be a good reliever on a team that has a lot of impending free agents in the bullpen too. Wandy's a free agent
yeah.
at the end of the year. Holmes is a free agent soon. Same with Loizaga. Trevino's out with TJS, right? Like Efros should be coming back next year, but you don't know, right? Like turning Schmidt into a good reliever would not be a bad outcome in the slides. It'd actually be a pretty good outcome for his career.
And trading, and also, trading for Ohtani would be a lot. That would be very expensive. I mean, Ohtani is about to get the richest sports contract ever next season. So, I mean, if you're going to trade for the guy, who are you giving up? Who are you giving up? Because it is going to be someone that plays every day. I will tell you that right now. So, who are you going to give up for that? It's going to probably it might even be 2 guys that play every day if it's not 1. You're going to give up a lot for that. And do you really think, like, if you're not so sure you're going to sign Ohtani in the offseason, do you really think it's worth like trading for him at the deadline just as a rental, as only for half a season? And if you don't win the World Series this year, then it's a complete disaster because now you just gave up some pieces you could have stuck around, and you might not be able to get Ohtani back. That's something you got to think about.
Yeah, I
I
don't
just wanted to
disagree with
touch on
you.
that. I just
I
wanted
really
to
don't
touch on that
disagree
with
with
the
you there.
Ohtani comment because, like, yes, Ohtani is amazing. Best player in baseball. I will not dispute that. He's the best player in baseball. But again, he is going to be expensive. both in the free agent market and in the trade market. So if he does get traded this July or August, and a team does go ahead and pull the trigger, they're going to be giving up a lot. So if you want him to if he's going to get traded, I don't even know if he will get traded just because he'll be that expensive. Teams might just go ahead and offer all their money they got to him in the offseason when he hits the free agency. That's what I think that might happen.
Yeah, I think that we're.
But I'm also not an expert, so.
Yeah, and I think Trevor brings up a good point here. I think there was a report where it's like, unless something goes horrifically wrong for the Angels, they won't trade him. So it's like,
exactly. So he followed up on that. Yeah, I don't think they'll trade him. I don't.
I think he's not going to be a Yankee if he gets traded. Wells is probably the starting catcher in a couple of years. You're definitely right, Dylan. I would love for Dylan to be right. I love Austin Wells. I love Austin Wells the way I like. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. That would have been really messed up. I was going to say the way I love like a family member, which is a little insane.
No, and like what I was saying earlier, he's likely the long-term answer. I love Jose Trevino. I love the guy. Platinum Glove winner. Awesome dude. He was an all-star last year. Love the guy. Do I think he's the long-term answer? I don't think so. I don't think he's long-term. I think he's kind of just like he's the answer right now. I don't think he's necessarily going to be the answer. I don't think 2027 we're going to be looking at the lineup and seeing Jose Trevino's name penciled in. I don't think so. I think it'll be Austin Wells.
Yeah, which is kind of like weird. We'll see. Also, weird news. Clint Frazier is going to be with the White Sox. He's going to join. He's going to be called up to the Major League team. So Clint Frazier is back in Major League Baseball.
And don't we play the White Sox very soon?
Yeah, I'm actually going June 6th to the White Sox game.
And isn't it Jackson Frazier, not Clint?
Well, it's Clint again. I think because they call him Clint again. I don't
really.
I
didn't know that.
The official listing for him is Clint Frazier. I'm assuming his name is Clint Frazier again. I could be wrong. I guess we'll correct people. I guess we'll find out when we get a broadcast of him, which will be on again. He's gonna be. There's a homestand where we're gonna face him. I'll be there for one of those games.
The awkward reunion will happen now.
Yeah, that's if he's on the team long enough. The dude's kind of bad at baseball. So
the white. With all due respect to the White Sox, they're pretty bad this year. So he might stick around. He might stick around. They might just say, "Screw it, we got nothing going right now. Let's see what we can get out of you." That's kind of what they probably are doing with this.
Yeah, no. Again, I will report to you in person what the situation is with Mr. Frazier.
We're gonna need Ryan Garcia's in-person interaction or viewing interaction of Clint Frazier in a different uniform at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Again, if anyone's at the stadium June 6th, I'll make sure I'll say hi. I'm not okay. If anyone's at the stadium June 6th, bring measuring tape. I don't have measuring tape with me. I need to prove that I'm 5'8". So please, someone just I need to beat the allegations, man. I need to beat these allegations. I need someone to pull up to the stadium, either that is 5'8" or is has measuring tape or has a really good sense of height, and I can prove to you that I'm not a midget. So I have to beat those allegations. I've been unsuccessful.
Everyone should pull up to the stadium in number 77 jerseys that day.
Honestly, that'd be hilarious. Because that was almost Volpe's number 2, which is
that was almost Volpe's number.
I honestly kind of like the double sevens,
and everyone had bought that. And I remember I said something on Twitter. I was like, great. Now everyone's gonna think everyone is a Clint Frazier super fan.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Clint Frazier super fans. I wouldn't say it's the worst thing in the world. It's not great, but it is what it is. But yeah, no. Look, I think we're in a situation where Clint Frazier hopefully doesn't kill us. I mean, sometimes some former Yankees just go ballistic.
So far we've gotten killed by former Yankees this year. First it was Joey Gallo, then it was Sonny Gray, and I think there was another former Yankee that was killing us. I forgot who it was though. It's not on the tip of my tongue, but when I do think of it, I will mention it.
Yeah.
But it's been the theme this year. It's been kind of the theme.
Yeah. I heard that Josh Bro will go to AA when Austin Wells goes to AAA whenever that comes. I mean, Josh Bro's hurt, if I'm not mistaken, so I don't know what they're going to do with him. He's kind of he's 25. He hasn't found his footing yet consistently with the bat. I don't care what has to happen to make Austin Wells go to AAA. Let it happen right now. As we're speaking, I want to see a tweet that says Austin Wells is in AAA right now, today. It's 8:48. Mm-hmm. I want to see it at 8:49. If I don't see it at 8:49, I'm going to start going on a hunger strike. I don't know. I'm going to do something. I need to do something absurd to get the Yankees to do it.
You're my minor league expert, so you know more about Barreau than I do because I need to catch up on my prospects a little bit. But I guess, what do you think about that? Do you think he will go to Double A? Like, do you
Well,
definitely think that's
so
possible?
Josh Bro is like he was already in Double A. He was okay there. He got sent up to Triple A, and he's been hurt to start the year. So I don't. I think it's more so just clearing roster spots. If I'm honest with you, I don't really know what's going on with Bro. He hasn't played this year. He's hurt. I don't know how severe the injury is. Minor league injuries are kind of underreported on. You don't really hear like with a major league injury. You're like,
I
okay,
mean,
this is the timeline.
I didn't even know Matt Crook was hurt when I wrote
Yeah, he had
about
like a
him,
7-day IL
and
stint.
I didn't even know that. And then when I wrote about it, he had came back the same day. So
Yeah,
I was lucky
it's a
enough for that,
weird.
but I didn't even know because
Yeah, they
these
have
things,
to
like you said,
report
go
better on that.
underreported. And I even tried to Google it to see if I was just wrong and straight up just missed it. Couldn't find anything. So I was
Yeah,
like, do they just not talk about this?
it's
I was like,
weird.
do they just not talk about these things? You know,
But
like
I don't think he's gonna. I don't think Josh Bro is gonna ever like play for the major league team. I think he's kind of just like we're seeing. He's getting up there in age. He's like 25 and he's not really hitting yet. Bet Rortvet is the real Benny Biceps. Yeah, no, Benintendi unfortunately has not played with the White Sox. So yeah, Ben Rortvet is now the king of the Benny Biceps nickname. I don't
yep.
think I have a disagreement with that.
Yeah, there's no disagreement. I mean, Benintendi has been not very good for the White Sox, to say the least. I don't even think he has a home run this year. Does he even have a home run? I don't even think he
I don't think he
does.
does.
I don't think he has a home run this year. I don't have his stats in front of me, but I can pull them up right now very quickly. But as far as I'm concerned, the last time I looked, he did not have a home run this season, and he was hitting like 260, 270 or something. It wasn't like, oh my god, amazing. I'm pulling up his stats right now as we speak. I have it on here. Okay, so I have it right here. 279, 0 home runs, 10 RBIs, and 165 at bats. That's not a lot of production.
And
The
his defense has
279
not been good.
no, no, it has not.
So
And the 279 average, that's cool, whatever. But he was an all-star last year because he was hitting 320.
yeah, so he's
So
gotta
this
do
is
better than
this
this.
is this is a regression. And I mean, no
Yep.
home runs and 165 at bats. That's tough to put in the lineup every day in this MLB. In this time of Major League Baseball, putting in a guy who is consistently getting you no home runs is tough to put in the lineup. Look how tough it was to put IKF in the lineup last year because it wasn't hitting for power and we weren't getting any of those runs driven in. I mean, 10 RBIs as well. That is not a lot this stage in the season. That's rough.
Yeah.
So if anything, I mean, like lately he has been swinging better. His last 7 games, he's hitting 417 actually, 10 hits and 24 at bats. So he is starting to get that contact back a little bit. But regardless, it looks better on us that we didn't cave in and give Benintendi the extra year like he wanted and which he got from the White Sox. It looks better on us that we didn't go ahead and do that. I feel better about it now. I didn't like really. I wasn't like that upset that we didn't bring him back. I wasn't necessarily like super upset we didn't bring Benintendi back, but of course I was like, okay, well, I just hope that whoever replaces him is going to step up. But seeing what he's doing right now, I kind of see why the Yankees passed up on it,
It's
and
also a
it doesn't
5-year
seem so
deal.
bad.
So
Yeah,
it's
it's a
like,
5-year deal.
yeah.
It's a 5-year deal for a contact hitter, a guy who doesn't hit for power. It's and honestly, I'm not sure where his long term fit in the Yankees would have been. So I see why they didn't stick around with him. And hindsight's of course 2020, but it looks really good that we didn't keep him around as of right now. Who knows? Maybe he'll go back to his all-star form. Maybe he'll find his power again like he did in Boston. But right now, it seems like it was the right decision.
Yeah, like, dude, just give me just give me like Austin Wells, please, and I'll take that over Andrew Benintendi. Real take, real. That's what real
We're gonna
Hoops
have to
is.
change your Twitter to an Austin Wells fan account.
I'm just gonna like leave, like I'm gonna get a small change to my main account, and we'll see. Like, I've been making like small changes every now and then for like jokes, like just like to like drop something funny in
Like
there.
the Scott Foster stuff.
Yeah, that was funny. That was good. I thought that was good. I thought that was extremely good. So yeah, I'm gonna change it. What do we think? We're gonna put. I changed it to the date I was gonna go to Yankee Stadium, so we're gonna change that. No one needs to know about that.
Austin
Especially
Wells enthusiast.
Austin Wells. I'm gonna put my left fielder.
Oh
And we're gonna
my
change.
god.
I have the link in the tweet. It's still a Scott Foster like a mixtape.
The Scott Foster edit, the best thing ever.
It's a good tweet. I don't care. I want to keep. I don't think I'm gonna keep it there, but I'm glad it was there for how long it was there. Shout out Nick's
It's
Twitter,
amazing.
man. Nick's Twitter is special.
This is an interesting place.
Yeah. I guess I've also beaten the allegations that I'm dead. I'm not dead. I'm alive. Hi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've beaten those
He's
allegations too.
alive. I can prove it right here. I'm not talking to Ben Rortvet. I'm talking to Ryan
Yeah,
Garcia. So he's
it's
alive.
kind of like Ben Rortvet. Funny enough, it's pretty funny that Ben Rortvet had this game, and I'm also proving that I'm alive at the same time. So that's pretty fun. But with that being said, we've been going around for an hour and a half. I think this is kind of a good place for us to start wrapping things up. I'm sorry we didn't get to everyone's questions. We'll be a little better with that next time.
I do see something in the chat. I see my
Ooh.
brother asked a question, and I do want to kind of address it
I didn't know he was in the
before we
chat.
go. He
Bring him
he
in.
asked he did ask a question in the chat. He's in the chat. It was where was it? It was the one where he said
I
Stanton.
see
He
it.
mentioned
I see
Stanton.
it.
He mentioned
It's this
Stanton.
one. Do you guys think Stanton should get any reps in the outfield when he comes back or exclusively DH? I think him playing the outfield isn't like got hurt. He got hurt which is kind of weird. He got hurt jogging, which, if anyone who plays sports understands, you can kind of get hurt doing anything, right? But I think he'll still play the outfield. I think Boone even mentioned that he'll play some outfield. So if they're comfortable putting him in the outfield, I'm comfortable with him in the outfield. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think he should DH a lot more personally. I don't view Stanton as a, necessarily good outfield option. I understand why they want to get him in the field because sometimes he does look better while he's in the field at the plate. I mean, in that sense, but I think he should DH more just for the sake of his health because, clearly something simple as jogging can hurt him. So I don't know how comfortable I'll feel with him having to track down fly balls in games and stuff like that and have to make tough catches that can clearly get him hurt because, as we've seen, I'm not going to say Stanton is made of glass. No, but Stanton has not been very good with the injuries lately the past several years. So I think if you want to be on the safer side and keep him around, you put him in the DH spot. I think you have better fielders anyway to kind of fulfill that. But if they get him in the field, they get him in the field. Just don't get hurt. Anytime Stanton or Judge dives for a ball or slides in the base, I cringe because
Yeah, I don't
they're
disagree,
big.
man.
They're big guys, and big guys are going to get hurt. So I always cringe when they do that. So me personally, I would prefer Stanton DHing, but if he goes in the field, he goes in the field. It is what it is. I just hope he doesn't get hurt. That's really my
As
only
long as they're
concern.
just careful. That's what I want them to
That's
be.
my concern. I'm not
Careful.
going to sit here and act like Stanton is going to be an insane fielder. No, we all know by now Giancarlo Stanton is a pretty below average fielder with a plus arm, but a below average fielder with a glove. There's a difference between that. We all know that at this point. But
Yeah.
I just don't want him to get hurt. We badly need his bat more than his glove, so I would much prefer him DHing more often. That's kind of my point on it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, man. I think that's kind of how I feel about the situation as well. So, I think it's a wait and see moment. We'll see how they play with him. We'll see how they operate with him. It's definitely going to be one of those things where I think we'll find out through Aaron Boone. We'll find out through how they operate. We'll find out a lot of things about the Yankees and their usage of Giancarlo Stanton when he comes back. But the comments from that they've made suggest that they'll be comfortable using him out there if need be. But with that being said, I think this is a good place for us to wrap up. Again, I apologize for not getting to everyone's questions. We'll make sure to get to everyone's questions in the next live streams. But with that being said, I thought it was a great live. Dylan, I want to thank you for coming on. Guys, you can follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Backer. He'll be here for some lives as well. So this isn't like a one-time thing. And yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate you guys showing up and showing us some love. You guys can check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and of course this YouTube page. We don't have an audio version for this. Obviously, it's a live stream, but for audio versions of our morning podcast and other stuff like that, you can check out Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Turn on post notifications to know the next time we go live or the next time we put out a video. And we'll see you guys in the next live stream or in the next podcast. Peace out and have a great night. Let's go Yankees.
Thank you, guys.